So a couple days ago I was watching this YouTube video about LEGO Bionicles, which was probably one of my favorite toys as a kid. So it was just a trip down memory lane and to get this nostalgic feeling that we all love. And then you may ask, what does this have to do with Nike? And it has everything to do with Nike. So Bionicles was actually the toy that saved LEGO. They were heading towards bankruptcy, and their normal toys didn't sell as well. So they wanted to lean more into storytelling and try to create their own IP and utilize a multimedia strategy for the first time. So that's when they launched Bionicles. And with Bionicles, they also launched comic books, movies, video games. And as a part of that strategy, they also launched a shoe with Nike, which is kind of wild. I had never seen this before. It released in 2002 and I was born in 2001, so I was probably born a bit too late. I was probably deep in the Bionicle stuff like in 2007 or something, so I was too late for that shoe, but when I saw it, it blew my mind. And not just because it is nostalgic, but also because I think the overall concept behind it is actually very cool. So as I said, the collaboration was first released in 2002, and they did first a test release in USA and Canada, so just 200 stores. And it's also believed that this partnership was the first between like a shoe company and a toy company. The reason they did this is Nike had announced their Nike Go initiative, which was an initiative to make kids be more physically active. So they just felt targeting kids with a shoe that's connected to a toy they love is a great way to like get them moving and initiate physical activity and bring their toys with them sort of as a part of their daily activities. I don't know how you pronounce this, so excuse me for the pronunciation, but they released two shoes. The first was the Tua Nova, which was the shoe that released in 2002. And then you got a new design in 2003, which was the Rahkshi edition. And that is probably the rarest one because the Rahkshi came with a like Bionicle toy part in the heel. So it had like a capsule for the toe in the heel. And that toy is now super rare and it's like a super collector's items. I saw a pair on eBay going for $2,000, so super expensive. But the core concept was the same for both shoes. So the concept was that, and if you don't know Bionicles, by the way, let me introduce you to Bionicles. Bionicles was this series. There was 6 main characters, and they were sort of belonging to this island, which they had to save. And they had masks they could attach and detach. So they brought that concept onto the shoe, where you have the masks of these 6 characters that you can attach to the toe box of the shoe. So when you bought the shoe, you had one mask that followed, and then you had to buy the other separately for like $10, I think was the listing price. But this essentially meant that kids could swap out and customize their own shoes. So one day you can wear your red toe box to the school, and the next you can wear your green, the blue. And I think this is what's so cool about it, because it really lets the kids, it really lets you like customize your own pair in a very easy way. And the shoe is very interesting because the construction made it so it's very easy to swap out the masks on the toe box. So it's just a simple like clicking mechanism almost. And it's also very special because it is a Nike shoe, but there is very limited branding on it. Like if you just saw the shoe from the side, you probably wouldn't guess it was a Nike. There is some Nike branding on the tongue, but that's it. And compared to the modern day LEGO collaborations, because now a LEGO and footwear manufacturer collaboration is not rare anymore. They have done shoes with at least Adidas and Nike, multiple pairs. But the modern collaboration is mostly just putting the LEGO bricks onto the shoe, and it's not very creative. And it's not changing the design very much, and it's usually utilizing existing silhouettes. But this was like a brand new silhouette, a whole new concept, and you can't even really tell that it's a Nike. So I just love the approach to this. It's so much more thoughtful. And you can say what you will about the design. It looks pretty goofy, but of course it's a children's shoe, so you can't really expect much. But to me, this is like a real collaboration. It's not just slapping logos together and doing like the bare minimum. This is like taking the extra step, and I wish this is something that was brought more into modern day collaboration. And the thing is, the shoe actually sold really well. LEGO said they had to order 10 times as many pairs as originally planned. And I don't know if this is true. I don't know how to fact check it, but I read that the demand was reportedly as high as when the Nike Jordan shoes first released. And apparently half the stock just sold out the first week. And I think this is the thing about the toy industry and selling things to kids, that if you hit, you know that all the kids are at school, and it just spreads so fast because the kids go home to their parents and say, I want this as well. And you can imagine if one kid rocked up to your class and had this swappable shoe that you could customize with one of the coolest franchises at the time. it probably spread like fire, to be honest. So after the first like test release in the USA and after the success it had, it released globally in 2003. So if you're sitting in now and like really wanting a pair of Bionicle Nikes, sadly they only released in kid sizing. So today they're mostly a collector's item. And I also think it's interesting how they sort of staked out LEGO's future, because this was their first real go at like a multimedia approach, and it just worked so well. And you can see that LEGO has continued doing this with their LEGO movies, all the games, like all the things around LEGO as well, the LEGO parks. And this wasn't just branding, it was functional creative play integrated into footwear, which I think it was what makes this collaboration so cool. And again, the shoes look pretty goofy, but I think a modernized version of this could be really interesting. So I actually started sketching out some concepts, just a modern reimagination of this core idea of the swappable upper. In the fashion world today, we see a lot of customization and people who want to personalize their products. So I think this core concept in the modern market could work well if done right. I'll dive more into this concept in a later video, but I just want to show you like my early sketches. So here's what I got going so far. So the blue is supposed to be the swappable part, and it's supposed to be attached. Oh wow. This was kind of hard. So it's supposed to be attached here on the sole, one attachment there and one attachment in the toe. And then I'm going to create like different shapes, different colors of course, different textures upon the layer. And it's supposed to be in like a TPU plastic material, like a squishy plastic. So I think, yeah, I'm excited to see where that concept can go. But for me, the whole Nike Bionicle collaboration just represents a perfect moment in time where toy companies, footwear companies were actually willing to take creative risk, and they made kid shoes actually cool and innovative instead of just miniature version of adult shoes like it is in today's market, where they just do the bare minimum and re-release mostly men's or like adult shoes as kid shoes. So yeah, I think this catches a cool moment in time, and I want to try and recreate it with this concept, and we'll see where it takes me. But thank you for watching, drop a like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you want a pair of LEGO Bionicles, good luck.